Okay, Andy, Warren, Stuart Watson here at the DW Stadium in Wigan, where Ipswich Town have rescued a draw. Stuart, 1-1. James Norwood off the bench. Had to be him, didn't it?
Had to be him, James Norwood off the bench, and that was, I thought, in the end, fully deserved from Ipswich. We wanted a reaction from Charlton on Tuesday night. We got a reaction. It was 4-4-2, back to basics, first half, scrappy, gritty, got stuck in, game of fine margins, trailed to a set piece that wasn't particularly well defended, was it? But second half, I thought they grew into it. Norwood off the bench, gets the goal, and they finished really strongly. And one team probably looked more like winning it. It was Ipswich, but in the end, a point in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if they'd played 10, 15 more minutes of that game, we could well be talking about three points for Ipswich. I think the thing that I liked about Town's reaction today, Stu, is that it wasn't a reaction of just pure grit and running. It was more that it was sensible as well. It wasn't just kind of headless chicken reaction, come out and just try and rough things up just to show that you're fighting. It was still trying to play your principles, still trying to play the way that they wanted to play. Didn't always work, but the desire was there, and that was what was missing at Charlton. I was quite impressed with how calmly they managed to show a reaction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, far from perfect, and I think John McGrill would agree with that. You know, wasn't happy with how the set-piece goal was conceded. It's been a bit of a thorn in their side this season, an Achilles heel. Said they'd worked on that quite a lot during the week. The quality wasn't really there. First half, they didn't really work many positions, did they? But it's a reaction, and it's something for the new man to work on, isn't it, going forwards? And we've got to talk about James Norwood a bit more, haven't we? It's we thought he was the door maybe ajar for him again after his exile to the under-23s on the transfer list. Didn't look like we'd ever see him again in an Ipswich shirt, but he's back in today. Ipswich no shots on target at Charlton. They needed to turn to something a little bit different. He's on the bench. Piggott and Bond didn't really quite work as a duo, and then 63 minutes on comes Norwood for Piggott, and not just the goal, he changed the dynamic of the game a bit, didn't he?
I think same as I just said for the team. I was quite impressed with Norwood as well. We've seen James Norwood come onto some football pitches with a real tear up on his mind, and I don't think he did that today. He didn't come on simply to run around and charge and potentially risk that hamstring that we know is not a particularly stubborn one in terms of holding up for him. Hopefully he's over that, but he was sensible with his approach. He came on, he grew into the game, he had his touches, and after he got one, you could tell he wanted a second. He got in some positions where maybe if he was a bit sharper and had played more football since October, he might have hit one a bit sooner than he actually ended up not hitting it, and maybe we'd be talking about a win. But I think
good finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great finish, sweeping finish, left foot, right place, right time, which we've seen from James time and again as he's a striker. He wants to get on these balls at the right place, right time.
The celebration was so James Norwood. He comes over towards the stand that we're sat in, director's box just above us, read into that what you will, and it was a point to the name, sweep across his name on the back of the shirt, making a little bit of a point there. I wonder if he can keep himself off social media for the rest of the weekend. Keep your head down, James Norwood. You're back in the first team setup. We know you score goals. It sounds like he's been in John McGrill's ear all week, chirping, saying, I'll get you a goal. Well, he's delivered today, and be interesting to see sort of whether there's a starting spot for him now going forwards. Obviously, a new manager may be the one making that decision, because John McGrill, as we talk, doesn't know if he's going to be in charge for this FA Cup replay at Barrow on Wednesday night, live in front of the ITV cameras. He says 24 hours is a long time in football, and I wait for Mark Ashton's call. So an interesting week ahead for Ipswich, but I think today you can tell from the fans' reaction at the end that's a good step in the right direction, isn't it?
Sure is. Next stop, Barrow.